Hello everybody, it's Vanessa here with another wonderful story from Leighton House. And this one comes from the Narcissus room. And it's my version of the story of Echo and Narcissus. This story has a little bit of joining in, so it's an opportunity for you to do something at home to sort of complete the story. And that'll be in the middle of the stories, so look out for it. It's about Echo, who was a wood nymph. She was the spirit of a tree. Her friend, Leonora, was also the spirit of a tree, and they lived together in the forest. And Echo, I think she might have been the spirit of a rather short, gnarly tree. She wasn't the best to look at, but she was very funny. She used to love joking and chatting, funny comments. Leonora was the spirit of a very beautiful tree. And what she liked most of all was having people tell her how beautiful she was. She could have that all day long. Anyway, our story starts when Echo and Leonora were in the forest, in a part that they hadn't been to before, where there were lots of little rippling lakes of water. And there they spotted a human man, a young man who was so beautiful. Both of them immediately lost their hearts to him. And Echo goes, "Oh, look at his little curly hair. It looks just like baby lambs all frolicking on top of his head." And Leonora goes, "Oh, don't be ridiculous. I'll stay here and I'll talk to him. Don't stand at the back so that he doesn't see you. I don't want to put him off." And she goes, "Excuse me? Excuse me?" And the gorgeous young man turned around, looked at Leonora, and then just seemed to shrug his shoulders and turn back to what he was doing again, which was looking in the lakes of water. "Hello," she said. Perhaps he didn't see me. And perhaps he didn't like you," said Echo. "Did you think of that?" Anyway, after they had finished for the day, they came back to their ferny corner of the forest and they settled down to go to sleep. But Leonora couldn't sleep. She was thinking about him. She wasn't curious about him. She didn't really care very much actually about him. It was the way that he had looked at her dismissively. And she thought, what happens if he really doesn't like girls who look like me? I mean, imagine if I found out he liked girls like Echo. Talk. She couldn't sleep, and so she decided to play what she thought was a trick on her friend, to go up Mount Olympus that night and disturb the most bad-tempered of all the immortals, Goddess Hera. Leonora made a huge noise outside where Goddess Hera was sleeping. "Oh, wake up, Goddess Hera, the most terrible thing has happened, the most terrible thing!" Goddess Hera woke. "Who disturbs me?" "Oh," she said, "it's so important because my friend Echo, she keeps making fun of you and making jokes about you and laughing at you." "Does she?" said Goddess Hera. "So what jokes does she make?" Leonora couldn't think of anything. So she said, she keeps on saying, she's copying you. She's like, "Oh, I'm Goddess Hera, I'm so important." And I just think it's really bad and it's really upsetting me. "Take me to her," said Goddess Hera. And so Leonora brought the goddess to the forest, and there was so much of the goddess radiance filling the forest that it actually seemed like dawn had come, and Echo woke up. She said, "What's Goddess Hera?" She said, "What are you doing here?" And Goddess Hera pointed her her finger and said, "From now on, you will only copy the last thing anyone says." And Echo said, "From now on, you will only copy the last thing anyone says." Goddess Hera went. And that was that. From that time on, Echo could not say a single word of her own volition. She could only copy the last thing that anybody said. And so that's what we're going to do. So you at home are going to be the voice of Echo. And when I point to you, you are going to just copy the last thing that I say. And it'll fit in really nicely with the story. And then you'll see how the story opens out. Right, so let's have a practice. Hello. This is what I said. Okay, have you got it? Right, okay, so I'm going to continue the story now. So, Echo was still hungry. She had breakfast. And then Leonora said, "Shall we go back to the woods? We might see that man again." And so she suggested going back to the woods, and actually Echo didn't mind going to the woods. She might as well go there as anywhere. And they went back to that strange part of the woods where there were little rippling pools of water. And they'd only been there for about an hour when they spotted him between the trees again. He looked even more handsome. And he was looking at each pool of water, shaking his head and moving on. And Leonora ushered Echo to one side, pushed her back, and then she went right over to where this beautiful man was kneeling. She tapped him on the shoulder and she goes, "Oh, good morning." And this beautiful man looked up at her with his gorgeous eyes and he said, "Can you leave me alone? I'm very busy." And she said, "Oh, but..." And he said, "Can you not cry here? I'm busy doing something and it's important. Leave me alone." And she went away. And from a distance, Echo had seen all of this. And her heart rose just a little. She thought, perhaps I do have a chance. Even without my words, maybe I could still make him love me. And she followed him. And they went deeper into the woods. And then Echo trod on a twig and it snapped and he heard it. And he turned around, he couldn't see her. And he turned around and he goes, "Hello?" So she said hello. "Come out." So she said come out. And then she stepped out from behind all the bushes and he saw her. And he goes, "Who are you?" So she just asked him who he was. So he said, "I'm Narcissus." So she just told him that her name was Narcissus. So he went, "No, I'm Narcissus." And he said, "You're crazy." So she'd now just told him he was crazy. And he said, "Leave me alone." So she had just told him to leave her alone. And now he did. He left her alone. And Echo had to say she didn't really find him very attractive from that conversation. And she was starting to feel that maybe she didn't like him so much after all. But she was very curious because he seemed to be very, very enthralled in looking for something. And she thought perhaps he'd dropped some kind of treasure in one of the lakes of water. And they went on and on. She staying at a bit of a distance until they came to midday this very still lake of water. And the sun shone on Narcissus's amazingly chiselled, glorious lips, eyes, ears, curly blonde hair. And he looked at himself in the water and he goes, oh, at last I can see myself. Oh, look at me. I am beloved. And then he just stayed there looking at himself. And Echo waited for him to do something else, but he wouldn't. He just looked at himself. His reflection. She waited, and eventually she just thought, what kind of man just stays there looking at himself forever? And she tiptoed away. So she never got her own words back again. She would always reflect back other people's words. But her voice itself was very beautiful. And in fact, people really, really loved to hear their own words spoken back to them. And when it was time, as all trees must die, when it was time for Echo to die, Zeus blew on her the breath of a god so that her flattering reflections would remain. Her voice, the echo. And that is what you hear when you go into a cave or against a great cliff. Echo's voice, copying you. And we love hearing it, don't we? We go, hello, just for the pleasure of hearing her voice, copying us. And as for Narcissus, well, he stayed looking at his own beautiful reflection. And he never went off for food, and eventually he died too. And when he was at the point of death, Zeus said, what a shame such beauty should perish. He blew onto him the breath of a god. And at that moment of death, if he would have looked in the lake, he would have seen something so beautiful. Flowers. The flowers which we now call Narcissus. Because Zeus transformed him into flowers. And a very special kind of flower that really reflects the story. So I've made one here for you. It's blonde, as you can see, and it's got sort of curly bits here, which are sort of like his curly hair. So if you imagine this is his face, also known as a daffodil. They do grow near to, I'll hold it close so you can see, they grow near to water. And so quite often they're reflected up from water. And as you can see, the face goes down looking at itself. And daffodils, their other name is Narcissus. And so that beauty was preserved as well. So if you like this story and you'd like to know more about the Narcissus Room or anything of the artworks in Leighton House Museum, why don't you go to the Leighton House website? And there's some create and make activity sheets. And if you do them, don't forget to tag us on social media so that we can see what stuff you've done and reshare it. Thank you for listening and look forward to seeing you next Friday.